Hey guys, welcome back to another Auditor Permacraft episode. Today we're gonna make the blast furnace, but I actually wanna start with showing you a discovery I just made. Seeds are actually renewable. So I have 9 soybean seeds, now I got 10. Now I have 11. Now I have 13! So I got more than 1 seed back from this. I had no idea. So apparently dead crops drop more seeds if you cut them down. Ah, so I don't need to collect every wild crop anymore. Oh my god. Does this also work for the potatoes? So I got 2, 4, oh my god. So you gotta know a lot of those episodes are pre-recorded. You probably got really annoyed that I didn't know for all this time. So I didn't have any chance to read those comments yet. But now I found out by myself, kinda. Oh my god. Yeah, this makes it a lot easier now. There's actually also a point just having your crops out. Got so many seeds from that. Oh. And I saw they are literally non-renewable and you only get 1 ever. In my defense, it used to be different. So 1.7, there was a skill system, and the more crops you cut down, the higher your skill was going, and at some point you had a chance to get a second sapling. So this was apparently removed and replaced with this. Unfortunately, the book doesn't tell you about this, so I looked it up. So on the fertilizer page, I remember in one of the early episodes I was wondering why you would make the fertilizer that actually kills your crops. Yeah, that would be the explanation. Now they apparently also removed that page in one of the updates. And also, if you go to the crops page, it's not explained anywhere. I just came across it by accident. Okay, so for all the guys who were trying to tell me about the comments, sorry, episodes were pre-recorded, I just found out. I've also been soaking some leather, you know what it means? So we can finally use my favorite machine, the leather scraper. What? That's anticlimactic? What happened there? Just a mistake how everything is set up. So the clutch that deactivates the millstone, the saw, the mechanical press and so on. Yeah, also deactivates all of the other things here. So I'm just gonna rewire that. I guess take the output from there instead from here. Done. Okay, so now we can actually finally use it. I feel like it's definitely improvement over doing it yourself. Yeah, for sure. Still quite manual. But it's just like a small machine that helps you. So the heights are taken care of. Now let's make that blast furnace if possible. So I already made the fire clay after crushing the kaolin and graphite and combining it with some clay. I got 16 fire clay. Not entirely sure how to continue now because there's 2 options. Either I use the deployer to make those fire bricks or I use a napping recipe to get 3 fire bricks. But I'm not entirely sure. Some of those napping recipes for the normal clay take up 5 clay balls. So I guess I'm just gonna try it. The napping first. See what we get. Those 2. And now we get 3 and it costs us 5. Oh. Okay, should definitely do it with the deployer then. When we get more bricks. I'm actually so lucky because I looked this up in the book. It seems like 14 fire clay is exactly what I need to make the blast furnace. So I looked up in the book. The blast furnace structure is a multi-block structure. It consists out of the blast furnace and then 4 fire bricks that are surrounded by 3 wrought iron sheets each. So 24 iron ingots would go into this. And yeah, the blast furnace is a crucible surrounded by 8 wrought iron sheets. So another 16 iron ingots. Okay, so we need to make a crucible, and you usually also want another crucible under your blast furnace. So this will go here. We can just use this crucible for the big blast furnace. I honestly never use this one anyway, so we can just replace it later. Usually I just use this one that is automated. Okay, so then we need 4 fire bricks on top, and we need another crucible. The crucible, we've done it before, you basically just craft 4 of the fire clay into a block, and then we can make it with the deployer. And then we got 10 fire clay left, which is exactly what you need for those 4 fire brick blocks. Let's look it up. Fire brick block. There we go. So in order to make 2, we need 5 of those fire bricks, so we need 10 in total. And yeah, the 10 fire clay, if I just put this in the crucible, heat up, gives me exactly 10 fire bricks. Okay, let's do this. I'm unfortunately almost out of wrought iron ingots, but we got enough crushed iron from the quarry. I put a lot of it already in a bloomery. Gonna get 72 more iron ingots out of this. Running 3 of them for the first time all at once. Okay, then I already made the crucible. And then we just need to heat up stuff in the crucible there. Making a crucible in a crucible. Is that supposed to work? Anyway. There we go. Oh, I need to make the fire clay still with the deployer. So we give this guy an ingot. Oh, it was the ingot mold, yeah. Ingot mold. Oh, I need to click it, not drop it. There we go. And then we also put it into the crucible. Okay, then it's just crafting a lot of those wrought iron sheets again. And then we can make this. Alright, so I got enough of everything now. Let's make those fire bricks. Let's make the blast furnace. There we go. Then we can... Wait, let's actually get the crucible as well. We want a crucible under the blast furnace. Let's jump on it. And then we can already add the fire bricks on the side. There we go. And then we can apply the iron sheets. They're still hot, so they don't stack. A bit inconvenient right now. Yeah, you have to shift click them. Oh, but actually the client-side mods help me with this. They resupply me. Okay, that's pretty neat. Can do it from here as well. And there you go. That's our blast furnace. So we need to drop in flux and crushed iron from on top and a bit of charcoal. And we also need to make a tuyere for this to work. The tuyere is also used up over time, so it uses durability. So it takes 4 double iron sheets to make this with the anvil. This is actually the one time where the anvil crafting recipe actually looks easier than setting up the 5x5 mechanical crafter for this. But of course, this could be handy. We can also fully automate the blast furnace later if we want to. Okay, so right now we can't click those bellows because we need the tuyere and then it does work. Okay, then let's try it out. We need a bit of flux, a bit of crushed iron, actually really low on that stuff. And then a bit of charcoal. Or the other coal, not sure. I think charcoal is fine. Not sure if there's an advantage using lignite or bituminous coal. Then we just drop it in from on top. Okay. Then we see in the interface, we got the input, the fuel. Then we just need to grab fire starter and light this. Okay, we also need to work the bellows because we need to heat this up below yellow-white. That's using up fuel. Usually I'm used to using the max size blast furnace from playing a couple of weeks ago. There was always enough to put, like, for me at least, to put like 20 iron and 20 flux in and 12 charcoal. I've never done it with the small one, I think. So we'll have to see. I think we can also add fuel later. And since we actually need to heat this beyond yellow-white, I wonder if bituminous coal works. Let's actually drop it in right now. There is some. It would automatically actually do it. So we don't need to use the bellows, it would be sweet. But I could imagine it does work. But is it just fuel, or does it know which type of fuel? I would imagine it doesn't. But we'll see. So we got it pretty much at yellow-white now. It's probably still burning like charcoal, but it's probably just fuel internally. And now we need to heat it up to yellow-white. And at some point it's just gonna drip into the crucible once it's hot enough. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we have 400 millibuckets of pig iron in there. I should have had my molds ready, because I don't think this is still molten. Let's quickly get some. Oh, they're stacked now. That's also kind of neat. No, so I gotta. That's why we also need the charcoal forge. I have to heat this up again. Probably some bituminous coal. Be probably best. So it melts immediately without the bellows. Okay, let's do it real quick. You know why I did this the last time, actually. Let's get those ready. Okay, now we're getting the pig iron. And 4. Sweet. Okay, let's take the pig iron out of the molds. Then we actually gotta heat it up again and work it on the anvil. I can just put it in there if you like. Yep. Although it's actually getting too hot, now it would be good to have lignite instead. Take this out. Just gotta be careful. I think it's still using the bituminous coal. But we wanted it yellow-white so it doesn't melt down again. Would be a shame. Can work, yeah. Okay, should be okay. And then we can work it here and turn it into the high carbon steel ingot. Okay, it's usual again. Okay, it's slightly different though. Actually slightly different. This way it works, okay. There's probably a way to do this with the minimum amount of hits. Once I did this often enough, yeah, definitely gonna figure this out. Okay, high carbon steel ingots. And in the next step, we need to turn the high carbon steel ingot into a steel ingot. You can do this on the anvil. Of course, you can also do a pig iron to high carbon steel ingot and directly to steel ingot, but I'm just doing it step by step now. Of course, it would also be preferable to use the deployer later, but it actually requires at least a steel hammer. In order to make the steel hammer, we need the steel anvil first. So we gotta actually do a lot of metal working right now, just with the anvil again, so we can use the create mod machinery. Okay, so it's always a bit different, I feel like. There we go, and that's the first steel ingot. Because here we can't work it into, for example, the hammerhead. We need the steel anvil first. And for the steel anvil, you need 14 double ingots as usual. Okay, what are we gonna do then? I guess, yeah, pretty much what we actually gotta do is make the steel anvil first. Then the steel hammer. So we have to actually do 4 batches of this and make enough steel. And then we can continue. Okay, so I have 4 steel ingots in total now. What I actually already can do, it's gonna help us a little bit, is actually make a flint and steel. Because that means we can actually finally get the coal forge. So the coal forge is gonna replace a lot of the work in combination with the mechanical press that we previously did on the charcoal forge and the anvil. So for example, we can now make double ingots and sheets finally without having to use the charcoal forge. We can just heat the coal forge and then put our ingots in there. We don't need to heat those up externally, just the normal cold ingots, bit of flux, and it would immediately turn those into steel double ingots. So no minutes of heating required, does it immediately because we heated up this thing. So it's gonna save a lot of work. Then we can also, again, later make the sheets out of this, just with the mechanical press. That'll be super useful. Okay, let's also try it out. The book also explains this a bit. You can use it with all kinds of fuels. It's actually closer to the vanilla furnace. I think in Create mod actually has a different name. It's not a coal forge. I think it's a blaze forge. But in Auto Terraformercraft, it's just more in line with the Terraformercraft mod. Also, we don't have blazes. Okay, so we can put in cheap sticks to quickly use it, or more expensive coal blocks or lava buckets, or bituminous coal. There we can also superheat it, which we need for certain crafting recipes even. Okay, so I got one bituminous coal. You just have to right click it. Now it's gonna burn for a couple of minutes and we could do the other recipes. I think I got 2 steel ingots. Bit of flux. I'm gonna grab it real quick. Then we can try this out. 1 flux should be enough. So into the bastion. The only problem is we actually basically need a second press, because I think the step to turn it into a sheet is done on the depot. So either we switch this all the time, or we add a second press next to it. I think that is probably the preferable option. So in order to make the steel anvil right away, we need to do a couple more batches with the blast furnace. That's also why you would really want a max size blast furnace. So with 16 more fire bricks, and yeah, then you can do 20 at a time instead of only 4. But I feel like I've done enough of this metalworking right now. It's getting really tedious. So I think since we're really low in iron, it's only like 27 left, 29. I really want to head out to the quarry real quick, mine up a couple of the cobble blocks, and yeah, put it into the washing system and get a couple more crushed iron this way. So we have enough to the rest of the metalworking, because once we have the anvil, of course, we want to make more steel to make new tools and so on. So I need it anyway. So also have to say, so far the interaction between Create Mod and Terraformercraft when it comes to balancing was pretty well done. So it's not like all of the Terraformercraft mechanics are completely removed. So we still need to use, for example, the anvil to make the next tier of anvil. Also later, once you got the steel anvil, you gotta do the same again to make the black steel anvil, because we need a black steel hammer so we can use the deployer and so on. For the long run, Terraformercraft really gets tedious. So usually alone making the blast furnace and all of the sheets around and all of that can take 1 hour or more, and that's where for a lot of people it gets a bit too tedious, too tiring. And then later, if you need a bit more steel, it's a whole process. And then later, if you need a bit more blue steel or red steel, then it's actually so much metalworking work that it gets really tedious. So I'm really glad to have the Create mod that takes a little bit of the burden, but at least doesn't replace it entirely, the progression to the next stage. Okay, so let's head over to the quarry real quick. Yeah, so here at the quarry, we actually started to dig into the iron vein here a little bit. So I want to continue there. But I also want to continue with the other parts, dig down to bedrock. So there is actually a setting that we can adjust on the rope pulley with the wrench. That might actually get rid of the issues we had. We can do place only in starting position. So hopefully this actually allows us to pull the entity up in case there would be obsidian above. I'm not entirely sure if this is gonna work. I might regret this, but I'm gonna try it out anyway. Alright, so I'm gonna send it down. Dug most of it, but the bottom I didn't dare to go lower, because last time he got stuck on the obsidian. Okay, so let's see what happens this time. First question, of course, is will the obsidian form on top of the machine again somehow? I think, yeah, here this is basically the issue. So it did. But it looks like it keeps going. There might be some sort of a collision detection, I guess. Also, I wonder if it would actually slow down the machine now for the last couple layers, if this would be prevented, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, so the obsidian is now poking out. It's actually a lot of it. Yeah, we're in the last layers. We can mine this. It's not too bad. Okay, now we just try to pull it up. So it's still in entity form. Kinda expect it won't work, but let's see. Yeah, it does get stuck. Okay, so that didn't do the trick. But I actually really got curious. I feel like the issue is that water doesn't flow quick enough before it actually reaches the lava. If you would set this to 64 RPM maybe for the last couple layers, if it might not run into those issues, I'm definitely gonna try that. Oh, I actually gotta bring doors to remove the obsidian because I didn't turn this into a block So last time there was this little air pocket I could use around the rope of the rope pulley. Yeah, doors will do the trick though. Okay, last one. And then just rhyolite. Oh, and another one. No aqua affinity, but it's no obsidian. There we go. Now it's free again. Alright, pulling it up works. Okay, I'm actually really scared. I don't want to mine too much obsidian again if I should try it with the lower speed now. Usually you should really do this sort of testing in creative, to be honest. One more try just because of curiosity. So this time nothing weird. So far nothing weird happened here, but it might also be this... So far nothing weird happened here, but it might also be that there's just way less lava. It's definitely not in my interest to run this machine so slow. I'm not entirely sure if it prevents it. So far nothing weird has happened yet, but there's also less lava, I feel like. Looks good now. It's definitely not in my interest to run the machine that slow. Don't really have a conclusive result on this test. Well, it didn't break this time, but we also didn't have lava flowing in from two sides. Maybe that has been the issue. I think I'm just gonna continue mining the ender side instead, like before. I'm not gonna risk it anymore, because the firelight, yeah, that we get from here doesn't even have any iron in it. So let's continue mining that iron vein, and the ender side does have iron in it. Okay, we're mining the normal terrain again, but unfortunately we just hit the edge of the vein. It's probably way more inside there. Okay, but the andesite itself also has a lot of iron, so I think if we mine maybe 3 more slices of this, we should also get like 100 ingots again. Okay, I definitely got a good amount of cobble from this contraption. That can be turned into metal, of course, but now I'm gonna take the contraption down, because I think next time I wanna use something else a bit more sophisticated. So it's definitely a learning process. Okay, everything got crushed, and I got 91 basically iron ingots out of this. Definitely enough for now, but I feel like next time I want to get a bit more. We should probably then search actually for an iron vein and dig it out nicely with a machine. I have something in mind already. Okay, then we can continue with the blast furnace. Gonna drink real quick. So the only thing I want to know now is if bituminous coal can heat the blast furnace beyond yellow-white. So we don't need to use the bellows at all in the back. So we'll try that out. More of that. More flux. Now we can actually use the flint and steel to light it. Just drop it in from on top. Only 4, this is... Oh. Couldn't we have found better kaolinite vein? Okay. I guess flint still does work, right? Okay, it's still going up. I think it actually goes into brilliant white. Yeah, it does it. Okay, so we don't actually need to use the bellows at all with the bituminous coal. That's good to know. But I was sleeping again, didn't get the ingot molds in time. So let's take those last ingots, weld them together. And anvil time again. Finally, those last couple ingots, let's weld them together. And make the anvil. There we go. Steel anvil. Alright, then I guess this one can be removed. Oops. Can't carry 2 anvils. And I can go to the decoration on the side here. Okay, I think I'm gonna use this anvil actually. I'm not sure I'm always using the right one. I guess habit. This one is usually closer to the stuff I'm doing. Alright, I was also thinking, Would have been super nice to have the crucible here actually hooked up to the whole ingot machine below. So I don't need to use the molds again, like manually. But then the one problem would be the input into the cauldron, the crucible, sorry, from on top. So we would need some sort of a mechanical piston that can maybe push away the blast furnace in some cases and pushes in the chute and the chest as well. So we can keep the system here to make the alloys. Or we just completely redo the whole bottom and make it blast furnace compatible. Because also right now, if we had another fluid pipe, we could, I mean, wouldn't look that great, but I mean, we could also have another pipe there. Just pumps it into the spout, maybe we run it along the side. Wouldn't look nice. I'll have to think about it. Usually I like things to be tidy, but in this case. It's also hard if you don't plan it out entirely beforehand. So I knew some of the stuff I'm gonna need, but yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm doing right now is also something I'm doing the first time. Okay, progress update. After spending quite a lot of time, and I'm already late for planting crops this year, it's already May. I am trying all kinds of things, mechanical piston, pushing stuff around, to somehow get it to working all in one place. I finally saw the easy solution. Just have the blast furnace on the right and hook it up to a pipe to the pump. It's that easy and it works great. Sometimes just blind to stuff. Okay, also found out that it's actually not that bad having the small blast furnace. What you can actually do is throw some extra stuff just on top and it will trickle through with the automatic systems we have. So as soon as the molten pig iron goes into the crucible, it will be pumped out. And then the new stuff on top, which is still in item form, will be just taken by the blast furnace. It's that easy. So basically with the automatic ingot production and the bituminous coal, I don't need to do anything anymore. This is basically like a full-size blast furnace. Also, I'm pretty sure using the blast furnace this way, I am using fewer fuel because it always stays hot and heats up stuff immediately. Also, the 2 years actually never used because I never need to use the bellows in the back because I'm using the bituminous coal. It's actually OP. So for the full blast furnace automation would be quite tricky actually to make 2 years over and over again and work the bellows at the right time and so on. But with the bituminous coal, it's actually a bit easy. There's one more thing I'm curious about, if you can maybe pump the pig iron directly out of the blast furnace. Oh, this also works. They should even speed it up further. Yeah, check it out. It's gone immediately. Not entirely sure if this actually helps, because as soon as it's molten, then it can accept the other stuff from on top. So not entirely sure if this helps. I'm actually pretty sure it doesn't help. But what we could do is actually get rid of the crucible, so we wouldn't even need that. But I'm gonna leave it there anyway, because it's kind of nice. Right now, if I want to heat up, for example, some cobble, turn it into magma blocks, and it's nice to have just 2 crucibles next to each other. Okay, then what I already did was actually make steel tools. The whole set got a knife and the whole set of steel tools as well now. I have so much steel now, so I could actually make steel armor again. But the iron armor is still holding up, so I'm gonna just store it. We're gonna need a couple steel ingots here and there for some crafting recipes anyway. And later, if you want to advance to black steel, we also need a lot of steel for a black steel anvil and so on. Alright, so it was good progress for today. Finally Steel Age. Thanks guys for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.